I'm at Gem Dock, Williamstown, Melbourne in Victoria. I'm in the boiler room of a HMAS Castlemaine. It's a great boat, it's got lots of exhibits, and it really is an important piece of Australia's military heritage.
At the start of World War II, the Royal Australian Navy consisted of a mere 13 combat ships. 6 of them were large, expensive cruisers, 5 were destroyers of varying modernity, and the remainder were 2 small sloops. Japan had not entered the war at that stage, and accordingly the main Australian imperative was to support Britain in her fight against Germany and Italy. The main body of the RAN was dispatched to assist Britain in the northern theatres of war. In order to provide usable warships in the shortest possible time, it was decided to build in Australia a class of warship that was both easy to build and cheap, and that was suited to the capacity of Australian industry at the time. These were a type of minesweeper that became known as the corvette, a name borrowed from the era of sail. At a cost of around 1/3 of a destroyer, and being simple and easy to build, these ships were able to fill a major gap until more effective vessels could be constructed. By the start of the Pacific War in December 1941, more than 20 of these ships were in Australian service. Eventually 60 of these ships were built in Australia, which were used during the war by the Royal Australian Navy, the Royal Navy and the Indian Navy. These tough and adaptable ships were to become the main workhorses of the RAN, often substituting for more expensive destroyers and frigates that were in short supply. The ships were neither fast nor heavily armed, and they were prone to heavy rolling in any sort of rough seas, but they were available in large numbers when they were most needed. They were not used in major combat actions, and that was not their purpose. Their many roles included many other vitally important tasks, such as minesweeping, anti-submarine escort, troop transport and supply, bombardment and assault landings, coastal surveillance, and providing aid to disabled ships. Crew comfort was not a major factor in their design, and the crew of between 60 and 80 men had to live, work and fight in cramped, uncomfortable conditions for extended periods. Additionally, in the troop transport role, up to 300 or even 400 troops were carried on board at times. Only one of these ships was lost to enemy action, although 2 others were lost in accidental collisions. They remained in active service throughout the war, and 3 of them were present at the surrender of Japan in Tokyo Bay on September 2, 1945. After the war, many of the corvettes were sold to foreign navies, including New Zealand, Indonesia, Turkey, the Netherlands and China. Others were used in a variety of civilian roles or as training vessels for the RAN. 2 survive, both as museum ships: HMAS Castlemaine, the last one of the class afloat, and the HMAS Whyalla, which is landlocked in the city of her name. These ships survive as a reminder of a tough and uncompromising era in Australian history, an era when servicemen worked together to defend their country and gave no thought to their own comforts.
Commemorating the service of these remarkable little ships, in October 1980 a stained glass window was placed in the Dockyard Chapel at Garden Island in Sydney. Commissioned by the Ipswich Corvette Association with contributions from the towns which were the ship's namesakes. The window lists the 56 vessels which were manned by the RAN.